tenses. So let's learn about all present, past and future perfect tenses. The perfect tenses. Now first we will learn the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense describes an action that started in the past but has just been completed. And the term present perfect suggests that the action has been completed recently. And this tense is used to express an action that has recently been completed. And we use just, already, recently, yet, etc. in these sentences. Now let's see the example. She has just taken tea. I have already purchased this book. So these present perfect tenses, actually the action has been started in the past and now it is completed recently. Just the action is completed. So there is difference between present perfect and past tense, simple past. Now another use is to describe past events whose effect still exists. For example, I have finished my work. Now, the work has been done, but its effect is just exist here, that I have finished my work. To describe an action whose time is not given. Like, have you read Shakespeare? Now here, we don't know when it was read, isn't it? So, no time is given, only the action is completed. Now let's see the structure of the present perfect tenses. First we use subject, any noun or pronoun. Then use of has and have. Past participle, that is third form of verb. So in present perfect, all the perfect tenses, we use the third form which is called as past participle. So if the subject is singular, then we use has, and if it is plural like I, we or they, then we use have. For example, he has closed the door. They have gone home. She has been to Sri Lanka. Now structure of negative sentences. Here we use subject first, then again has or have depending upon the singular or plural subject, then not, and then past participle, that is third form of verb. For example, I have not met Shreya today. The man has not written any novels. She has not broken her arm. Now interrogative sentences. Here it begins with has or have, then subject and then past participle. Again, if the subject is singular, we'll use has first, and if the plural, then we'll use have. For example, have you finished the work? Has she missed the work? Now let's see the second kind of question which begins with question word. Here the question word comes first, then has or have, then subject and then past participle or third form. For example, what have they eaten today? Why has Rashi not come yet? Now past perfect tense. The past perfect tense indicates that an action was completed at some point of time in the past before another action began. So here there are two actions and the second action just began after the completion of first action. Now it is used to show that two actions occurred in the past but an action had been completed much before the other. The past perfect is used for the earlier action, means which is the first, which action was done first. There we will use past perfect. And For the second action or the later action, we use simple past. For example, when I reached the station, the train had left. Now here see, what is the second action? The second action is you reached the station because train had already left. That means the first action was the train left and the second action is you reached. So here we used had left, means past perfect tense with the first action, which was the train had left. And for the second action or the later action, we use simple past, that is reached, second form of verb. Manya reached here after you had gone. So again, Manya reached here is the second action which took place and you had gone was the first action. Now it is also used to denote an action completed before a given point of time. For example, I had finished my dinner by 8 o'clock. She had sent me a postcard a year ago. Now here the time is given, then when this action was completed, but it is always in the past. Now let's see the structure of affirmative sentences in past perfect. First we use subject, then had, which is the second form of has and have, then past participle. For example, he had earned a lot of money. They had decided to go to Japan. Now let's see negative sentences. Here subject comes first, then had, then not, and then past participle. For example, they had not finished their work. She had not cooked any food for us. She had not attended the function. Now interrogative sentences. For first case, when it is used for yes or no question, we use had, then subject, and then third form of verb, that is past participle. And for the second type of question word comes first, then had, then subject, and then past participle. Let's see the examples. Had she watched a movie? Had she appeared for an exam? Now, second kind, which begins with question word. Why had you not gone to school? Where had you met with her? Now, future perfect tense. Now, the future perfect tense is used to describe an action which will be completed at some point of time in the future. It is used to show the completion of an action before a specified point in the future. For example, I will have saved up all my money by this time next year. So it is for the future, it is told that I will have saved up all my money by this time next year. Means next year by this time I would have saved up all my money. I shall have reached before the bell rings. To talk about actions that will take place after a given time in the future. For example, by next year, Vineet will have lived in Sikkim for 12 years. Now here, when we talk about the action which will take place in the future after a given time, like by next year. Now we are just planning that by next year, Vineet will have lived in Sikkim for 12 years. Means by next year, there will be 12 years when Vineet will have lived in Sikkim. Now structure of affirmative sentences in future perfect. We use subject first, then shall or will, then have, and then past participle. We shall have cooked the food by the evening. They will have reached home by now. Now structure of negative sentences. Here subject, then same will or shall, then not, and then have, and third form or past participle. For example, the dog will not have finished its food by afternoon. I shall not have written the letter by noon. The passengers will not have reached the station before the train starts. Now let's see the structure of interrogative sentences or the questions. So for yes or no questions, we use will or shall, then subject, then have and past participle. Same way for question words, we use question word first, then will or shall, then subject, then have and then past participle. Now let us see the example of first case. Will you have bought your apartment by the end of this year? See the second case. What will he have eaten before he sleep? So here it ends. Thank you.